All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the WMA podcast. Got a very special episode today. Got a colleague of mine, somebody who I've had the pleasure of working with, and I've really been inspired by, somebody I admire and greatly respect, my friend Oscar Gardner. Oscar, welcome to the WMA podcast.
Thank you, bro. You're too kind, Justin. It's happy feeling to be here. Listen to almost every episode we put out, and I don't know. This is like the best product to come out of WMA. So to be a part of it, to leave my stamp on it before I graduate, it's a good feeling.
Hey, Oscar, that means a lot, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on here, man. So let's kick it off. Can you just give us a little bit about your background, your name, where'd you graduate, and how you ended up here at Michigan State?
Sure. Yeah. So Oscar Lee Garner III, come from a long line of people named Oscar. I'm class of 2021, Michigan State, Broad College of Business, finance degree. So how I ended up at Michigan State, I always was green and white. As long as I can remember, watching basketball, football, my dad rooted for green and white. This is just what it was. I couldn't even imagine going to Michigan. So I applied to Michigan State coming out of high school. I couldn't afford to come here at first. So I actually did my freshman year at Central Michigan and then transferred here my sophomore year on scholarship. So ever since then, it's been great from coming in here sophomore year to really closing it out. I think this is having this podcast right now at kind of the apex of like everything's coming together, everything that is leading up to this final couple moments in this college career. It's going to be a good time to reflect over this interview.
That's awesome, man, dude. I'm so glad to hear that. So leading up here, I know we're both seniors. So what are your future plans, man, after senior year? What do you got planned for after we graduate here in May?
Sure. So short term, I think everything's kind of laid out from here until 2022, 23. No, yeah, it's until 2023. I'll be working at Raymond James, getting my licensing together and really learning the ins and outs of the industry, wealth management industry, and figuring out, getting exposed to some different things, networking, meeting people, and really cementing myself, knowing that this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be a part of. I think I have a great opportunity to be in a different community. I'll be moving to Tampa, Florida. Actually, we're starting virtual at first. I just got that email today. So we'll be starting virtual, but I'll be moving to Tampa at some time this year. So in the short term, just looking to get exposed to the industry. Never had a finance internship, actually. So this will be my first on the clock, on the job, getting finance reps. So I look forward to that. I think from the midterm, I have certain involvements outside of the finance, it's outside of the professional sphere that are inspiring me to just learn and just grow. I have, of course, my licenses that I'm getting together, but I'm involved with the Evans Scholarship, and that's a lifelong kind of fraternity type organization that I'll be looking to establish relationships with, and that's going to keep me going professionally and socially as well. But looking to kind of establish, along that medium term, like 5 years, I'm looking to establish my investments, get that retirement fund going, do all those things that she still has told us to do for the past year and a half. So just looking to get that stuff together. And then past that, I really want to start my own firm. I really want to, if anybody knows Stephanie Trexler, I want to go the Golden Goose route. I really want to get all my certifications together, get the CFP, and really run my own shop. So that's definitely the goal before we hit 30. So I think that's very achievable. But yeah, that's what I've got planned coming up.
Dude, that's exciting, man. This is the first I've heard you want to start your own firm, dude. That is very cool. I know we're going to keep in touch, man. So big things, man. That's exciting.
Definitely.
So I got two questions, I guess, wrapped into one. Is so you mentioned Raymond James and how you didn't have a finance internship, man. So do you mind how did that happen, dude? I know that there's a lot of people at Michigan State, especially in the virtual environment, who've had difficulties, man. It's been challenging for them to find an internship through no fault of their own. So how did you land this great job, man, without having an official internship? And what licenses too are you working on right now as a student?
Sure. So I'll answer the licenses first. As a part of my job, I have to get the SIE on the job. I'm required to get it once I start. I thought it'd be a great idea to just get that out of the way now. I did not know when I said that and I committed to it, I did not know what I was signing up for. It's definitely a rough exam that I've been working on since Christmas break, and my exam is the 26th of this month. So right now I'm in the final stages of just studying, going over preparation exams. But for those who don't know, the SIE is the Securities Industry Essentials exam. This is basically what they would call the prerequisites. If you're familiar with Broad, you have to take, your CSE and all that other stuff before you get into Broad. This is basically before you can get established with FINRA, which is our regulatory body for financial services. Before you get established with them, you take the SIE. It allows you to get basically the pre-knowledge, the foundation of knowledge you need to be in the securities industry. So it covers everything from equity, debt, regulations. Right now, I'm looking over the information for money laundering. It teaches you how to spot money laundering, which is, I did not think I would get to that, but interest, risk, all that stuff. So it's a pretty expansive exam, but it's sort of like the CFP where it's wide, but it's not deep. So that's what I'm working on. Licenses, and of course I got to get the Series 7 and the I think it's the 66, but that's a little bit later down the road. To answer the other question, how did I land this job? I can honestly say it feels as if, looking back on it, it feels as if every planet in the solar system had to line up for this to happen. And it was like I was always in the right place at the right time. But I had gotten to a point junior year, literally a year ago from now, which is crazy. I think this was a year ago from today is when we got kicked off campus. This is it. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a year ago from this week. But it was around this time that I had met Professor Schiestel. I had not gotten any luck getting a finance internship going into my junior summer. And I met him. He came to speak at Finance 311 before everything got shut down. And he talked about the CFP program, talked about the wealth management program. And I always said, I want to get into some sort of portfolio management. I want to work with people's money. I want to work with people's wealth. And he was speaking the gospel. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. And immediately, as soon as class was over, I was the first person in line to go talk to him. And his relationship helped me get exposed to the FPA. So then he also just told me about going to network. I think there was a bro networking spring event where it wasn't a lot of hiring, but it was mostly just hey, if you need something, we'll put your resume on file. I met Raymond James there. So I met Raymond James there, and they had an operations internship in Southfield. And I'm like, look, I just want to get in the door. If it's operations, whatever, I'll network my way to the next thing. I applied. I got to the second round. Because of COVID, they shut the program down. So I'm like, dang, couldn't get that. So I had another internship, but it wasn't in finance at all. It was actually a sales job with a company called Altria. So it was I was working a 9 to 5 with them virtually over the summer. But before I got to the summer, I heard that the FPA was putting on a finance externship program. And it basically was a wealth management boot camp in so many words. So the way it was set up, it was an 8-week program, self-led. FPA put out their own content, and it was free of charge. I was able to watch videos, do exercises, and basically work at my own pace for 8 weeks. And as long as I turned in the assignments on time and completed everything, they gave me a certificate of completion, and I actually have 160 hours towards my CFP as of right now. Wow. So that experience was that was like the golden ticket on my resume. That was something I could actually put on there and say, hey, I've done the work. I didn't even get paid to do the work. I actually was working another job while I was doing this, because that program overlapped with my internship that I was working. So I did that over the summer, and I get to, we get to early August, and that's when she still starts sending out the emails about, different jobs. He sends out the Vanguard job. I applied for that. We stayed in contact, sent out a couple other jobs. I applied for those. And this is where the stars aligned, Justin, because I honestly cannot make this up. I had applied for this job that I have now with Raymond James. I applied for it. They did not get back to me. They never emailed me back. Raymond James comes to speak at the WMA event, at a WMA meeting, and I'm on the news team, and I do my story. The recruiter that I spoke to back before COVID was there along with another advisor. I guess she still had my resume or the updated version. I never gave it to her specifically. I don't know how she got it, but she had my resume, talked to that advisor. The advisor reached out to me literally like 20 minutes after the meeting was over, emailed me. He was like, hey, heard about you through April Wingate. We should talk. So we talked. He was like, there's a trainee opportunity in Birmingham, Michigan. So he was like, you need to call the head honcho of the Birmingham office. So I called him again, got to him finally. He was like, we're not hiring for that until the spring. Well, at that time I had the Vanguard offer, and I'm like, I have to decide on Vanguard within like a week or two. And then he's like, all right, no love lost, stay in contact. I'm like, all right, cool. 30 minutes later, the Tampa headquarters office, Raymond James, calls me, and they're like, can you come in for the ADP finance interview? It's in 2 days. Like, can you get on Zoom for that? It's in 2 days. And I mean, I don't want to assume, because he didn't say that he put a word in for me, but I have to assume that he called somebody and somebody called me. So it was like, I honestly think it was like being at the right place at the right time and having my resume ready was just like all came together. And I interviewed. We had a great interview. I still talk to the people I interviewed like every couple of months. We stay in contact. Nice. And I think I got offered the job maybe like, I told them, I interviewed on Friday. I told them I had to decide by Monday. They got to me like Saturday morning.
Wow.
So I was like, hey, that's it. So from there on in, I was locked in by mid-October, I think. And from here on out, I've just been waiting to graduate so we can get started.
Nice, man. Dude, that's so cool. I've never heard that story before.
It's a long one, because there's a lot of moving parts that a year ago, none of it was in place. None of it was in motion. And now we get to from March to October, and like all this stuff has happened. I think in part, that externship program wouldn't have existed without COVID. So in part, COVID created an opportunity for me to do something that I probably wouldn't have been able to do. So, there's a silver lining in everything. Of course, it sucked that I couldn't be around people. It sucked that we couldn't hang out, and, people are getting sick all over the country. It was terrible to experience that over the summer. But at the same time, there was opportunities that I felt that I was in the right place and I could take advantage of. So yeah, it's a crazy story. And, when I get a chance to tell it, it's always like, listening to myself talk about it, it's like, wow, like a lot of stuff had to happen and go right for that to end up happening.
It's a great story. That's why I wanted to have you on here, man. I wanted to hear this. I know we got to meet once before the pandemic. I remember when you came into the WMA and sat with Costa. I remember we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I remember that. But yeah, most of the time we've been working together has been online. So I know since I've known you, or at least worked with you, you've been grinding, man. You've just been like nose to the grindstone, doing what you're doing. So I don't know. People like you, I'm like, they always get it somehow. Like you said, man, like stars aligned, like that happens when you got your nose to the grindstone. So I want to ask you this, man, if there was like a college student, sophomore, junior, maybe somebody who's in a position where they just don't have something right now, what would you recommend they do to get experience and try to land that job like you did?
Well, if we're speaking specifically in this wealth field, I definitely say the externship. It's a program that's going to exist even when things are back in person. I think the FPA sees a lot of value in that, and they're going to keep doing that. And I do it before they start charging for it because there's a lot of value there, and I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't, because that's a great way for somebody who's a college student or even like graduated trying to transition careers, because we had everybody from grad students to high school students on there. So it was great. I'd say for those who are, I think this applies to any major, any field, find ways you can do the work and say you've done it before asking someone else to give you the opportunity. If it's you taking a leadership position in a student group and putting on an event or putting together a case workshop, or doing something where it shows, hey, I'm studying, but I'm also applying what I'm learning, and I'm not asking for a dime. And I know that's like a steep ask for kids who are basically living in poverty for 4 years, trying to make ends meet. Some of us more than others, and trust me, I know how that goes. But that's going to be a big look. I know that's when things change for me. I did the externship for free, and that's the main thing we talked about during my interviews, is that I put in the work before somebody was willing to give me the opportunity to do so. That shows that this isn't just something I've signed up to do. This is something that I want to do, and I'll do it for free before you pay me. That speaks volumes about your passion, about your drive. And look for those opportunities. Look within your own community, call around. You never know who's hiring. Hey, we can only give you 20 hours a week, but you can manage these 10 clients, or you can, come do some back office stuff for us, whatever. It's a great look. Do what you can, don't overextend yourself, because I know what that looks like. But definitely, if it's within your wheelhouse to get that done and put that out there, definitely do that.
That's awesome, man. That's such a great answer. I know when we first founded the Spartan Journal, because that's what we did, is we founded it about 6 months ago. Like, it was something I don't know. Have you ever written before? Let me ask you that. Have you ever written at that capacity ever before?
No. Never, not that consistently. No. I've probably put a couple things out here or there, but that was the most I had consistently written ever.
That's awesome. See, I guess I should have mentioned this earlier to anybody who isn't familiar, but Oscar is the director of recruitment right now on our e-board. But Oscar started on the Spartan Journal and helped co-found. He was one of our OG writers on the Spartan Journal. And dude, we had a flood of applicants last spring after Oscar wrote some great stories and inspired all these guys. And I'm expecting the same next semester. So it's incredible. So on that note, man, it seems like you're always inspiring and mentoring a lot of young Spartans here on campus through the Evans Scholars, or when we've worked together in WMA. So dude, how do you find time to do that, man? Where do you draw that inspiration from?
Man, that's something, that's one of those things that I do for free because I was going to do it anyway. Nice. You find certain stuff you need to carve out some serious time if I'm going to do something, but that's something where it's if there's an opportunity to inspire, if there's an opportunity to mentor, I'll do it. I'll take I don't care if you're older, younger, whatever, I'll do it. And I think where that comes from for me is it goes all the way back to my freshman year of high school. My freshman year of high school, there was this kid named Garrett Folby who, he went to Michigan, no love lost, but that was one of my best friends and one of my first friends, actually my first friend coming into high school. He was a year older than me, and we both actually played saxophone in the band. And he sought me out after like a day or two. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody. And he just kind of brought me along. Let me hang out with the older kids, told me, the ins and outs, and just kind of, he was somebody that started as a mentor, but is now like a very close friend. He wished me happy birthday, and we talked maybe 3 or 4 times a week. So him looking out for me when if he hadn't, I might have ended up doing some other things. He didn't do it for any other reason than out of the kindness of his heart. So I've kind of adopted, that right there kind of started this thing where I've adopted this mentality that what is the point of being in leadership? What is the point of learning? What is the point of going through trials and tribulations if you aren't going to tell the person behind you how to avoid the bumps in the road? If I figured out the map, if I can draw the map out, I can turn around to the person behind me and show them the map. Like it's selfish to keep it for myself, There's people who are ahead of me who've done the same for me. Who am I not to turn around and do the same for others? So I think that I get a lot of joy from seeing people avoid pitfalls, and that avoidance leads to more immediate success. I'm always happy to see those who have come behind me find success faster than I found it. Like, I'm like, that's the point. Like, that's good. Like some people say, like, oh, don't you get jealous? Like, no. Like, I want you to be better than me, faster than me. Like, that's the whole point. So when you get to here, or even now, you can turn around and make that person better than you, faster than you. And we have this line of people, we're creating leadership within our organizations. And that's what I do for Evans Scholars. That's what I hope to do for WMA. This is what I've tried to do. I mean, I've been a caddy for the past 6 years on the golf course. Whenever I see these young caddies out here screwing around, I try to give them like, hey, I can't get too deep into what happens at the golf course. It's a crazy space. But when I see some people screwing around, it's like, look, man, if you want to stick around, you might have to clean that up. So, but yeah, that's where that philosophy comes from.
That's incredible, man. This is what I'm talking about. I get inspired by you, man. Like every time I talk to you, stuff like that. That's so cool, man. That is awesome. It's been great. So you have been making some awesome content on social media that's like exposing people who might have never been interested in investing before to investing, man. So it's kind of the same question as before, but man, what started that? What was the inspiration to get started on that?
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's a combination of that desire to help others, and then my interest in financial markets and finances in general. So I combine the two, and of course I selfishly want to grow my Instagram, like, of course. But I think the content was inspired a little bit by the being on the news team. Of course, I was putting stuff out for the news team, and I enjoyed writing, but at first I was thinking about doing a blog. I know I had talked to you about that, but I knew with the job I was starting, I wouldn't be able to keep it up. So I had a little bit more freedom with the Instagram content. So I figured it would be a great opportunity to utilize an Instagram platform that when I started already had about 900 something followers. So I'm like, I already have a following here. I have a lot of knowledge. I think one thing that a lot of people like me and you don't understand is something that we might think is very basic knowledge is a foreign language to somebody else. Like our basic building blocks for knowing, investing and life planning, it right over somebody's head, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes we overvalue the knowledge we have. So if we simplify it and it's like, hey, just teaching somebody what equity is, what a stock is, what an ETF is, what investing means, investing strategies, just teaching them the basic building blocks, we're helping the community by taking the information that we might take for granted, right? And I also think that one thing that plagues the community, like 3 things that people never talk about, is how to raise their children, their sex life, and their finances. That's 3 things people never talk about. Yeah. Finances should not, I mean, money makes the world go round. There's no reason why we should be acting like money is such a taboo conversation, especially how to make money, right? So I think that culture and the barriers that we have in financial knowledge keep a lot of people from getting to the next level, right? So I wanted to create Instagram content to help people get to the next level, to help people, I want people to come back to me and say, I had a buddy who, we had an hour drive back home. He asked me all the way there what an option was, what a stock was. He asked me a whole bunch of questions. He's like, I'm sorry, bro. I keep asking. I'm like, no. Because you're helping me out. Because I say stuff and I'm like, wait, does that make sense? I'm like, I'm getting my knowledge up. So he learned during that car ride, I think, was it a week ago? He texted this group chat and he was like, guys, I made $600 off my first option. And I'm like, I lost money for 6 months in options before I made anything. But that's the thing. I want him to be better than me, faster than me. He shouldn't have to lose money because I lost money. So now I'm telling him how to get it, how to do it right. I couldn't figure out, wait. We don't buy when the S&P 500 is at its all-time high. We just don't do that. So it's all that, trying to help people get better than me, faster than me, using what I already know.
Wow. Dude, that is incredible. I know, man. I tried to trade options here. I took advanced. I don't know. You in finance 414 right now? Advanced business.
Yeah.
I took that last semester. I took a coding class, and the whole semester I was like, oh, I know how to, run models on options, bro. Yeah, down for 3 months straight. I'm like, all right, I've given up on this one.
Yeah, knowledge and application are 2 very different things.
Bro, so well said, dude. So well said. Yeah. That social media content and stuff on Instagram, it's so important too, man. Cause I know blogs, now, like you said, we're into this, we're in the finance sphere, and I'm going to read a blog, you're going to read a blog, but 90% of those followers you're talking about probably won't read a blog, but they're going to watch your Instagram story. That's something that can make a real impact on students who would have never seen it before. It's incredible. So do you have any advice, man, for anybody who wants to follow in your footsteps? Maybe create content, not investing space, but any kind of financial literacy content?
I'd say the most important thing is the first thing you're going to put out is going to suck. It's going to be bad. And you won't know it's bad until you've made 10 new ones and you look back and it's like, wow, that was pretty bad. But remember, it's going to be bad to you. They won't know. Especially if you're talking about something you know about. They don't know the difference, So, you could tell somebody the max Roth IRA contribution is $12,000. They're like, okay, sure. They don't know the difference. So just be confident in it. If it's something that you really want to do, just do it. There's nothing that's going to teach you better than getting your feet wet. You can read books about it. You can look at somebody else and all you want. But getting your feet wet is going to tell you really, what the temperature of the pool is. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at it all day, but you actually got to go out and do it. I'd say work with what you know first. If Snapchat is your thing, record your stuff on Snapchat. If TikTok is your thing, get to know TikTok. I despised TikTok for the longest. Then I'm like, dude, if I want to make these videos, I kind of got to use TikTok. If I want to do it how I want to do it. And I finally learned it. And now I actually like it because I've figured it out and I've used it in a way that I like to do it. And if your thing is Instagram, shout out Nate Jefferson. Nate Jefferson doesn't sugarcoat anything. He just hops on, turns his camera on and talks. Mad respect to him. So do what you know. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to know Adobe, this and that. Just do something simple. If you want to write. If you want to do a video. Podcasts are super easy to make. Whatever you want to do, don't overdo it. And be confident in it and understand. I think one thing that I always talk about is the law of large numbers. The more reps you put out, the closer you're going to get to getting better. That's all that is. You put one thing out, it's hit or miss, but you put 10 things out, 20 things out, 50, 100, you're going to keep reaching an audience, and the audience is going to grow, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And you're going to slowly approach, emphasis on slowly, but you're going to slowly approach, you know, what your visions are for it. And I think finally, have an idea of what you want it to be. It might not look like it now, but have some sort of destination. Doesn't have to be outlined in pen. It can be in pencil, so it can be erased and rewritten, but have some sort of destination marked out that you're trying to go towards. Because if you're just kind of doing stuff and spinning your wheels, you're more likely to quit if it doesn't look like it's going the way you want it to go. But if you have a destination, you always have somewhere to put your eyes when things are getting kind of shaky.
It's incredible, dude. Having a goal, right, man? What can you do if you don't have a goal, dude? Yeah. I know when we started this, I can't agree to that point, man. Like it's painful for me to listen to some of the first episodes of this podcast when I was interviewing. I'm like hearing myself speak. I'm like, God, what are you doing? But going back and doing those reps in, I'm not an athlete, but like I came from, you know, like thinking in that athlete mindset of like reps, man. Like the first free throw you shoot, you're like, I just played basketball the first time in 3 months. I airballed every jump shot, but like, got to go out there. You got to shoot the free throws. You got to get better and better. And you're like, just like your body, your mind will get better over time with those reps, dude. So
got to get shots up. Got to.
Dude, absolutely. This is awesome, man. This has been fantastic. In closing here, anything we didn't cover today that you want to tell WMA members, Broad Spartans, anybody who's listening, that, you know, any knowledge that you've learned over the way that you want to share with our listeners?
I think the only thing that I want to leave everybody with is the value of being authentic and being yourself. I know this sounds cheesy, and I know every person who's come up in front of you to talk and inspire you has said, be yourself. But I think, you know, if you think about Broad, if you think about college, you know, you got 200, 300, 400 people at a time taking the same exact schedule from the same exact professors, learning the same exact material, right? And it's kind of like a bit of a conditioning almost, you know, it's not on purpose because you can't give this breadth and of options, but there's a bit of a conditioning that happens where people start to think they got to be like other people and they want to emulate other people's success. And they want to be like them. Those people got that way because that's who they were. You can't be the light version of somebody else. You can't. The one asset that you will always have over anybody else is no one will ever be able to have you and be you the way you can be you. No one will ever, that's the only, like, I can't even think of any other asset that you have that anybody can do better. No one, I can never be Justin better than Justin, and Justin can never be Oscar better than me. It just can't happen. So utilize that asset, be comfortable with that asset, and yourself will take you as far as you're willing to take it. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that sounds cheesy, but you will carry yourself so far if you just be yourself. And that's it for me.
Drop the mic, man. That's it. Oscar, thanks for being here, man. It's been a pleasure working with you, dude. I can't wait to see what's to come.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure since that first meeting we had, and to think, geez, a year later, here we are on the podcast, news team, e-board, all this stuff, and we're about to wrap it up. But you know, this is just the end of one chapter. So let's keep it going, man.
That's it. To the moon, man. To the moon.
To the moon.
If you liked what you just heard, please like, comment, and share. This is Vincent Pacillo, producer of the MSUWMA podcast. MSUWMA, or Michigan State University Wealth Management Association, is a student organization part of the Eli Broad College of Business, located in East Lansing, Michigan. Our mission is to inspire and educate the next generation of financial planners. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please check out our channel on all platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcast. And check out our social media at MSUWMA and MSUWMA.com.